They lied to you about how reality works. You weren't born to hustle yourself into the ground, drained and disconnected, just to survive. Everything you've been taught to chase, money, power, love, isn't the root. It's the fruit. The root is energy. And if you don't learn to control it, it will control you. Welcome to Forbidden Texts, where we explore ancient knowledge and forgotten wisdom. Right now, you're swimming in energy. Every thought you have, every mood you wake up with, every person who drains or uplifts you, they're all manipulating this invisible force. You felt it before. That magnetic pull towards something or someone, or that gut, deep warning that made no logical sense but turned out to be right. That's not magic. That's energy literacy. And you've been illiterate for too long. Forget the crystals. Forget the incense. Forget the fluff. This isn't about pretending to be a monk. This is about learning the real system that powers everything in your life. The tech world calls it frequency. The spiritual world calls it vibration. Science just calls it energy. But here's the truth. It doesn't care what you call it. It only cares if you understand it. Everything you touch, think, feel, and create is shaped by this force. Your confidence, energy. Your fear, energy. The way people treat you, often a reflection of the frequency you're emitting without even knowing it. There's a reason why two people with the same skills walk into a room and only one gets noticed. It's not talent. It's charge. It's presence. And presence is energy and focus. You've been stuck in survival mode because no one taught you how to charge your own system. You wake up already leaking power, scrolling, comparing, stressing. You give it away to bosses, screens, arguments, people who don't deserve it. Then you crash and wonder why life feels like it's running you. That ends here. Not with rituals, but with recognition. Not with hustle, but with harnessing. Because once you see energy clearly, once you feel it, shift it, and project it, everything changes. People respond to you differently. Opportunities move toward you. Your body stops fighting itself. And that's just the beginning. Keep going. The deeper we go, the more this system reveals itself. The world isn't random. It's energetic. And when you understand that, you don't chase outcomes. You become the force that pulls them in. And soon, you'll know exactly how. What is energy? Really, not the textbook version. Not the vague spiritual chatter. Let's strip it down. Energy is movement. It's motion at every scale, from atoms vibrating in your bones to thoughts firing in your brain to galaxies swirling in silence. You're made of it. You run on it. And whether you realize it or not, you're radiating it 24/7. Here's the part no one told you. Energy isn't just a concept. It's the fabric of reality. Everything is just energy slowed down into form. Your body, dense energy. Your emotions, fluid energy. Your thoughts, electric energy. But this isn't theory. This is observable. Quantum physics shows us that at the smallest level, particles don't act like particles. They act like waves, waves of potential, waiting to collapse into form based on observation. That's not metaphysics. That's measurement. You're collapsing waves all day with your attention. Where you look, what you focus on, even what you expect, all of it sends out a frequency that shapes what shows up. You think life is random. Test it. Walk into a room with low energy, slouched body, distracted eyes. Watch how people ignore you. Now shift. Pull your posture up. Slow your breath. Lock in eye contact. That's not charisma. That's energetic presence. You felt it from others. Someone walks in, doesn't say a word, but changes the atmosphere. That's field dominance. And most of the time, you're being influenced by fields stronger than yours. Ads, media, opinions, trauma, pushing your frequency without your consent. Energy isn't neutral. It's shaped. Shaped by biology, shaped by belief, shaped by attention. And your energy, it's programmable. Right now, it's running on old scripts, conditioning from school, from parents, from every moment you didn't know you were absorbing. But once you see it, you can write your own code. You can tune your frequency with precision. That's the unlock. Not wishing, not grinding, just aligning. And it's not about being positive all the time. That's bypassing. Real energy work means knowing where you're at, tuning into it, and shifting consciously, not suppressing. The ancient cultures knew this. They mapped the meridians, the chakras, the breath. Not to be mystical, but because they were observing energy in motion. We just gave it different names. In science, we talk about thermodynamics, charge, wave interference. In the East, it's chi, prana, or kundalini. But they're all describing the same force. So the next time you feel stuck, tired, chaotic, don't just ask what's wrong. Ask, where's my energy going? What am I feeding? What am I leaking? Because energy follows attention. And attention is your most powerful tool. In the next step, we'll expose how your energy is being siphoned without you realizing it, and how to finally stop the drain. Keep going. What's coming isn't just insight. It's control. You're not tired because you're lazy. You're tired because you're leaking energy. Most people have no idea where their power is going. They just know they wake up exhausted, distracted, anxious, and they think it's normal. It's not. You're not built to be drained. You're built to generate. But every day, your energy gets hijacked. By people, by apps, by thoughts you didn't even choose. You scroll for 5 minutes, and suddenly your mind is wired with someone else's problems. That's a leak. You enter a conversation and walk away feeling smaller. That's a leak. You replay old arguments in your head on loop. That's a leak. Here's what they never taught you. Your attention is a currency. And you're spending it on things that don't pay you back. Let's get specific. Emotional energy is one of the biggest sinks. Every unprocessed emotion, resentment, guilt, shame, it runs in the background like an open app, draining your internal battery. You think you've moved on, but your body remembers. Toxic relationships, they don't just waste your time. They distort your field. They pull you into power games, survival patterns, identity loops. You start reacting instead of choosing. And every reaction is energy given away. Even your inner dialogue, the way you speak to yourself, it either charges you or cuts you. Most people run internal scripts that sound like, I'm not good enough. Who do I think I am? They're probably judging me. Each thought like that is a micro drain. A ripple of low frequency that shapes how others see you, how you move, what you attract. Your environment matters too. Clutter, noise, stale routines, they numb your sensory field. Your nervous system goes on autopilot, and your energy drops into default mode. Survival, not creation. But here's the truth most people don't want to face. A lot of your energy loss is self-inflicted. You know the patterns. Doom scrolling at midnight. Saying yes when you mean no. Letting fear lead the conversation. These aren't just bad habits. They're energetic fractures. And if you don't fix the leaks, no amount of motivation will save you. So how do you stop the drain? You become brutally selective with what you give your time to, with who gets access, with what voices you let inside your head. You start asking, every time, is this charging me or draining me? Is this mine, or am I carrying someone else's energy? Does this feel expansive or contracted? Because awareness is the first form of control. The moment you see the pattern, it loses power over you. And once you start sealing those leaks, something wild happens. You begin to accumulate energy. You walk into a room and people notice. Not because you're louder, but because your field is intact, coherent, undisturbed. Next, we shift from defense to offense, from preserving energy to generating it. You'll learn how to wire your system so it produces power on demand. Stay with it. You're not here to just survive this life. You're here to master it. You want power? Build your charge. You've plugged the leaks. Now it's time to flip the switch and become the generator. Because here's what most people never grasp. Energy isn't just something you protect. It's something you produce. Deliberately. And no, it doesn't start with caffeine, supplements, or mindset hacks. It starts with what your body, breath, and brain are doing when no one's watching. That's the real programming. First, breath. It's the remote control to your nervous system. You breathe shallow and fast. You signal stress. You breathe slow and deep. You unlock power. That's not spiritual poetry. That's hard biology. Your vagus nerve, your heart rate, your hormones, they're all tied to how you breathe. Which means energy begins not with your thoughts, but with your lungs. Try this. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Do that for 2 minutes and watch your entire state shift. That's frequency tuning in real time. Second, movement. Your body is a conduit. When it's stiff, your energy gets stuck. When it flows, everything opens. You don't need to hit the gym for hours. Just move with intention. Stretch. Shake. Walk. Dance. Get the energy out of your head and into circulation. Because here's a hard truth. If you can't shift your state with your body, your mind will trap you in loops. Third, stillness. Not the kind that numbs you with distraction. The kind that sharpens. Silence is where energy integrates. It's not passive. It's active repair. You've been taught to always be doing. But the real charge builds in the pause. That's where your system recalibrates. Where clarity breaks through the static. But the foundation of it all, ritual. Not superstition. System. Repetition. Habits that stack charge into your field. Wake. Move. Breathe. Focus. Lock in a sequence that creates power instead of chaos. Not because it's trendy, but because your nervous system craves rhythm. You're not lazy. You're out of sync. Real energy mastery is about rhythm, cycles of charge and recovery. Just like nature. Just like music. Just like life. And don't forget your inputs. Your food, your light exposure, your conversations. All of it either feeds the fire or smothers it. You think it's harmless to binge garbage online for hours? Every image, every sound, it's data. And data carries frequency. You want to control energy, control what you consume. Now, this isn't about perfection. It's about momentum. One aligned breath. One conscious choice. One new boundary. That's how you shift the field. And when you start stacking those moments, day after day, you build a new baseline. Your energy gets cleaner, louder, stronger. People will feel it before you say a word. Opportunities will start to move in rhythm with you, not against you. But this isn't the ceiling. It's the floor. What comes next is applying that power outward, channeling your energy with purpose. That's where transformation stops being personal and becomes impactful. Stay locked in. The force you're building now, it doesn't just change you. It changes what you touch. You've built the charge. Now it's time to use it. Because energy without direction is chaos. But energy with focus, that's creation. That's how you shape reality. This is where most people fall off. They learn how to feel better, maybe even look better, but they never learn how to wield energy. They float in good vibes instead of turning them into outcomes. Here's the truth. The world doesn't respond to your intentions. It responds to your frequency. And frequency is what you broadcast through your posture, your tone, your decisions, your presence, even in silence, especially in silence. Energy in action looks like alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are pulling in the same direction, people feel it. You stop second guessing, over-explaining, or trying to prove. You become undeniable. That's not ego. That's field coherence. When you're aligned, life stops being random. The right people show up. The wrong ones fall away. Doors open. Not because the universe is rewarding you, but because you finally tuned your signal to match what you say you want. This is where most advice gets it wrong. They tell you to work harder, manifest more, think positive. But if your energy is fragmented, if you're doubting while acting, resenting while speaking, fearing while moving, then you're cross-wired. You repel what you chase. But when your internal state matches your external action, you become magnetic. That's not metaphor. That's resonance. And resonance creates results. Fast. Let's get specific. In business, this shows up as clarity. You stop overloading your offer with fluff. You speak directly, confidently, because you know what you're offering is valuable, and people feel that before they hear your pitch. In relationships, it's boundaries, not walls, boundaries. You stop leaking energy to please people who feed on your confusion. You stop explaining yourself to those who don't see you. You move differently. You speak with less filler. You listen with more intent. And the right people feel safe in your energy because it's clean. In health, it's embodiment. You stop outsourcing your well-being to trends. You tune in, when your energy's off. And instead of masking it, you adjust your breath, your movement, your inputs. This isn't about control in the rigid sense. It's about responsiveness, flexibility with awareness. When you master energy, you don't force outcomes. You shape conditions internally and externally so that outcomes become inevitable. That's real power, the kind that doesn't need to be loud. It just is. And here's what most won't tell you. This level of alignment, it's not a peak you reach. It's a system you run, a rhythm you return to, a signal you refine. Because once you start creating from energy, not effort, everything shifts. Your life stops being a series of problems to solve and starts becoming a field to tune. And if you've made it this far, you're not just chasing change. You're building charge. And soon, you'll understand how that charge affects everyone around you. Not just how you feel, but how you shift the field itself. Keep going. What's next is collective. And it's powerful. You're not an island. You're a signal tower. Everything you are, your thoughts, your moods, your focus, it broadcasts. It ripples. And it doesn't stop with you. It hits the people around you, bounces off their fields, and loops back stronger or weaker, depending on what you carry. You felt it before. Walk into a room after a fight. You don't need to hear what was said. You feel it. Ever meet someone who drains you in 5 minutes flat? That's not personality. That's field interference. Your energy is not isolated. It's relational. It moves through networks, families, teams, cultures. And whether you realize it or not, you're either elevating or polluting every field you enter. Now imagine this. What happens when two high-charged people enter the same room? Not ego. Not dominance. Just clean, directed energy. You get amplification. Sync. Momentum. And what happens when someone with a chaotic, fragmented field steps in? Everyone else gets pulled down, distracted, tense. This isn't mysticism. It's frequency physics. You've been in group settings where everything flows. No forced conversation, no power plays, just pure presence. That's a coherent field. And once you know how to create that, you become a catalyst. People don't always understand it, but they feel it. They'll say, something about you is different. I feel calm around you. You make things make sense. That's not charm. That's energetic leadership. And you don't need a title to do it. You don't need to be loud. You just need to hold your frequency, even when others lose theirs. Especially when they lose theirs. In a world wired on fear, urgency, and noise, the most powerful person in the room is the one who's calm, focused, and unfazed. Because stability is power. But here's the deeper layer. Collective energy can trap you or free you. Most people are locked in inherited frequencies. Family trauma, cultural programs, social anxiety loops. You carry energy that didn't start with you, but it still runs your system. Until you interrupt it. That's what real mastery is. Not just controlling your energy, but refusing to carry what isn't yours. You do that by creating feedback loops that reinforce clarity. You speak with intention. You pause when others react. You choose presence over panic. Again and again. It's not about fixing people. It's about becoming the frequency you wish they carried. And when enough people do that, teams shift, families heal, movements rise. That's the ripple effect of energetic awareness. You want to change the world? Don't start with opinions. Start with your field. Because the truth is, collective energy shapes everything, from how decisions are made to what ideas survive. And if you don't learn to read and influence it, you're just another wave in someone else's storm. But if you do, if you hold your charge, you become the signal that stabilizes chaos. The one others calibrate to. The silent force that shifts everything without forcing anything. And by now, you're almost ready. You've seen the layers, felt the current. But we're not done. Because the final step, the real threshold, isn't just knowing how to control energy. It's knowing what to do with that control. That's where we're going next. Stay sharp. This last part rewires everything. You've built the charge. You've learned to hold it. You've seen how it moves through people, places, systems. Now the question is, what will you do with it? Because control without direction is just ego on a leash. The goal was never to hoard energy. It was to become a conductor of it. to shape it with precision, to apply it like a blade, clean, exact, and intentional. This is the shift from passive to active, from reaction to creation. Every moment you wake up is a blank field, and most people fill it with noise, distraction, and fear before they've even gotten out of bed. But when you understand energy, you start filling that field on purpose. You don't start your day asking, "What do I need to do?" You ask, "What energy do I need to hold?" Because what you hold, you attract. And what you broadcast, you multiply. Start with your presence. This isn't about confidence in the superficial sense. It's about coherence, integrity. No split signals. Your words match your energy. Your actions match your words. That kind of alignment doesn't just influence people, it recalibrates them. Next, apply your charge where it matters. High energy people fail when they scatter it. They chase 5 things with half-hearted intensity and wonder why nothing moves. Stop spraying. Start focusing. Choose one intention, one project, one transformation. Pour your energy in. No split, no leakage. That's how you bend reality. And when resistance hits, and it will, that's the test. Most lose energy by fighting resistance. But when you're trained, you alchemize it. You turn friction into clarity, fear into fire. That's what warriors, artists, and architects of empires all share: energy control under pressure. Because in the end, control doesn't mean stiff. It means responsive, adaptable, clear. You lead the energy. You don't let the energy lead you. That's what this was all building toward. Not just how to feel better, not just how to protect your peace, but how to wield your frequency in the world unapologetically. To walk into chaos and not flinch. To enter a system and reshape it without losing your signal. To live every day as a high voltage presence that can't be ignored. That's what you've been training for. You're not a sponge anymore. You're a sender. You're not a reactor. You're a tuner. You don't shrink to match the room. You set the tone. Because everything is energy. And now, you know how to use it. Welcome to a different level of existence. Stay sharp. Stay charged. Your signal starts now. You made it. And you're not the same as when you started. Not because I told you something you didn't already know, but because you felt what was true the moment you heard it. Energy isn't an idea. It's an operating system. It was always there, under everything. Under your habits, your emotions, your relationships, your failures, your wins. The difference now, you see it. You feel it. You can move it. You've learned that your attention isn't casual. It's currency. Your breath isn't automatic. It's a command. Your emotions aren't random. They're signals. Your presence isn't passive. It's a transmitter. And you've learned that control isn't about domination. It's about direction. Now, when something pulls at you, you'll pause. Not because you're afraid, but because you're reading the signal. Now, when energy dips, you won't panic. You'll recalibrate. Now, when you walk into a room, you won't shrink or spike. You'll stabilize. Because you don't need to be louder. You need to be cleaner. You don't need more force. You need more clarity. Most people live their entire lives at the mercy of invisible energy patterns they never question. Not you. You've traced the current. You've patched the leaks. You've tuned your field. You've activated the power most people never even realize they have. Now comes the deeper responsibility. holding that frequency in a world designed to distort it. But that's the edge. That's the game. That's the mission. The people who master energy, quietly, consistently, precisely, don't need to chase success. They become the center of gravity. And that's you now. A signal in a world of static. A generator in a grid of consumers. A source, not a sponge. So take what you've learned here, and don't just believe it, build with it. Move with it. Lead with it. Because the real power, it's not in knowing energy is everything. It's in acting like it every second, every space, every breath. This wasn't just information. This was the key. Now go charge the world. This has been Forbidden Texts. You know what to do. There's nothing left to add, because the work begins now. You've crossed the threshold. You're no longer just consuming content. You're carrying code. The kind that rewires reality when lived. Everything moving forward is a test. Can you hold your frequency when the world pulls? Can you maintain inner clarity when the external gets loud? Can you generate power without needing validation, attention, or noise? Because here's the secret no one tells you. Once you start living this way, the old world doesn't fit anymore. Shallow conversations feel unbearable. Drained environments feel toxic. False urgency becomes obvious. You'll lose things. Comfort. Familiarity. People who only knew the old version of you. That's part of the purge. Let it burn. Because what returns is cleaner, sharper, aligned. You won't need to chase connection. It'll magnetize to your field. This isn't about being better than anyone. It's about being real in a world that rewards the fake. You don't walk this path to impress. You walk it to remember that you were never weak, that your energy was never broken, that the system taught you to forget. But now, you know, now you see the game. Now you feel the grid. Now you've got the signal. And whether you whisper it in stillness or radiate it with every move you make, your energy says it before you do. I'm not here to take power. I am power. Forbidden Texts. Transmission complete.